Oh, hi. This week I started making myself a thing and then was like, right, could probably share the project with y'all because it might be a helpful, quick little thing that never occurred to me before to make this, and now it seems deeply essential. So I don't know if you know this about me, but I do wear glasses. Listen, we're getting into the warm times, meaning it's daylight for more than 4 hours a day, and I'll be outside more often, supposedly, which means wearing sunglasses. And no, they're not prescription. They sure should be, but these are dollar store boys, and I have multiple pairs because I lose track of them all the time. Here's the problem. If I have my sunglasses, I need to also have my regular specs on standby somewhere, and either I have them just loose about the world, which is not helpful, they get scratched and everything, or they're in the case, which yes, protects it more, but is also a real pain in the ass to just carry around. What I want to make is like a little wristlet to put either the loose sunglasses or glasses in, and to fit the case if I have that as well, because I am so sick of losing track of this stuff. And then maybe this will finally get me to invest in actual prescription sunglasses for once. Anyways, here's what you need. I didn't eat breakfast until 12:30 today, p.m., not a.m. Although listen, breakfast at any point of the day is also fine by me. My lovely friend Grant sent me a bunch of carpet samples because it's just good sturdy fabric with like wild designs. A lot of them have this like description tag thing, and it's not just stapled on, it's like glued to it for some reason. I'm gonna have this as the outer fabric. I am going to taper the end here, make a little taco pocket, and then there's going to be a flap over the top, and I'm going to taper it to a point so that none of this is going to interfere with the rest of the bag. That'll all be cut away. If I knew I was always going to be putting my case in there, I wouldn't add a lining, but because sometimes I know I'm just going to have these loose in the bag, I want to add some felt to the inside so that these are sure not to scratch. Any kind of like a flannel would be good too. I just have a shitload of felt, so this is a good scrap busting project. This one is a foot long and 9 inches wide, and yeah, I cut the felt to a similar size. And I'm going to be sewing up the side, so I have matching thread and my sewing machine all rigged up for that and cutting paraphernalia. And then for a closure, I'm going to use the cam snap set that my lovely Patreon pal Jeanette sent me, because a little plastic snap seems like the easiest solution here. I don't want to get into grommeting. I'm not going to fuck with buttonholes through a carpet sample. That sounds like a nightmare. I'm still just obsessed with how simple these are. I love them. I think this is probably going to go pretty quick, but how often do I say that and then it's 20 minutes of absolute nonsense from me? Oh, I do also have a little piece of extra ribbon. This is actually striping that used to go down the side seam of a pair of uniform pants, so I saved these from the trash. Because listen, I'm a sucker for teal, and it's just big enough that I can get my wrist through it. The world's biggest hands and the teeny tiny disproportionately small wrists. It's stupid. Anyways, here is how I marked this out. It's basically divided into thirds. The first 2 thirds are just going to get folded in half, and this third, I marked some lines that are going to come to a point here, so it'll be a little triangle closure. I'm going to sew this right sides together to the felt. Yes, I certainly could have pressed the felt, but I don't care about wrinkles for this. So I'm going to stitch around the edge here and then go up along the triangle. I'm going to leave a gap probably down here on the, maybe on the side, so that I can flip this right side out and we won't have any of the lining showing out and no scratchy surfaces. And I'm trying to think if I put this in now. See, I was just kind of fucking around with some fabric to make myself this thing. This is why I wasn't originally intending to film. But also, is this not the fun of sewing nerd videos? Is just like, let's make shit up as we go. So I'm gonna fold the tab in half and put it in the middle of that middle third, basically the center of the entire piece. And make sure it's pointing towards the main part of the fabric. You don't want it sticking out, so that when all this is flipped out, it will be out on the right side. So that's gonna get sandwiched between the 2 layers. Hopefully this is making any sense. Again, I'm flying by the seat of my pants, which I feel like I've gotten away from a little bit. I've actually planned things out more the past year or 2, but it's fun to just kind of come in here and noodle around, you know? It doesn't have to be so structured. Okay, stitches, well, you can see it better over here. I did backstitch a bunch where the strap is, just because that's where the most strain is gonna be. It looks like a little wonky house, which fine with me. So I'm just gonna trim all the excess off around the edges. Okay, let's flip this baby out. I think I'll probably top stitch around the edge just to make sure this is lying nice and flat and crisp. Ooh, look at me making something for myself and actually having some like higher standards. Is this self-esteem? Who is she? Oh, and we got our little toggle bit. Cool. Yeah, it's like real puffy, so I'm gonna go around it with a little top stitch in. Seal this gap shut like so. Just do some little tiny stitches over that. Oh, and I keep forgetting I have this. I was gifted a point turner for Christmas, and oh, cool. Okay, well, I'm gonna flip this back out and restitch that because I definitely just broke those. This is why I joke I'm a ham-fisted ogre, because I go a little Hulk smash sometimes. Okay, we got our little flipped out house with the nice beautiful edges. This guy's hanging out. I'm glad I did tuck it in where I did, because the raw edges of the ends of the straps would be showing on the inside of this, and I don't want that to be the case, so I'm glad I did it the way I did it. So I'm gonna lay this down. So this is what the edge is gonna look like. I'm gonna fold this bottom third up, and yeah, that looks right. See what I'm doing? And I'm gonna do a straight stitch down these short ends and just make sure that my little toggle is tucked inside here. I'm really liking how this is coming together. Oh, it's gonna be so cute. The top is kind of wonky, but you know, it's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's not fine, but things feel less not fine today. So I'll take it. Okay, that has been stitched. I mean, this is thick fabric, this outer bit, so it's bulky, but my machine handled it okay. Oh, did I go too far in? I think I might go back in and do a smaller seam allowance, because it's like over 1/4 inch and I need like a little bit more wiggle room. Yeah, I'm gonna unpick this and redo it. Okay, smaller seam allowance also has like, it's the perfect amount of room, where it was also a little too tight before, so I'm glad I redid it. And it's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. Okay, yeah, that seems all right. And I'll just mark with the pokey tool, go through where the snap is going to be. Now I do try to make a point to keep the snap away from the seam allowance, because unless the seam allowance is wide enough that the entire snap is going to be on it, it'll give like an uneven surface you're putting the snap pieces through, and I find that that's where issues come up, and like that's where it wants to pop out. I'm going to do the snap like 1/4 inch up from that top stitching line, so I should be in the clear, and then without stabbing through the case entirely, the plastic hard case inside, I'm going to puncture a little hole through the flap and through the front, and especially on the felt side I can see the little puncture hole. So now I'm going to take a set of snaps, make sure I have a side that sticks in and a side that sticks out, so I'm not doing two of the same side against each other, and make sure the outer flat piece is on the outside here. A little jabby point guy is inside. Clamp that baby down, and then the flat side for the other half is going to be on the inside, which is good because then it still won't be scratching my free range glasses if those happen to be in here. Not that I'm worried about this innie piece scratching anything, but you know, the smoother the better, I think. Squanch that one down. So my wallet is also a wristlet, so if I'm out in the world and I just have 1 or 2 things with me, I usually have like my phone in a pocket or in my wallet. This could also be used for a phone. I would maybe do the flap at like the narrow end so there's less room for it to slide out, but this is gonna fit perfectly in here. So excited. It's just gonna make my life that little bit less annoying, and that's not nothing. Put these in here as well, and I don't have to worry about those falling out. I'm gonna try to make a point to keep a case in there, because something my dad always said to me when I first got my glasses when I was a kid, on your face or in the case. So I'm gonna try to abide by those rules, even though my glasses are a lot cheaper than they used to be these days, because I can just get them for like 15 bucks a pair on Zenny instead of $300 or $400 at a LensCrafters or Pearl Vision. They're still very valuable to me because they let me see shit. So very important to take care of them. And yeah, just slapping them on my nightstand is maybe not the best thing for them. Certainly not letting them just drift about the passenger seat or the console in my truck, or when I'm going for a ride with someone else. It needs to live in something like this. They deserve better. And of course, I have once again accidentally made Ramona Flowers color themed things because she's just in my brain all the time. It's like I have the little nano chip, but instead of Gideon doing it, it's Ramona being like, make everything have stars on it and be teal and fuchsia, thanks. And I will mark out the measurements of all of this, figure out the parameters for you, and put a little free sewing pattern up on my Patreon page in case you're interested. I have a handful of patterns out there for free, mostly bag patterns, I think, just because garments are impossible to do like one size fits all. That's not how clothes work, but bags and stuff, you can get away with that. Speaking of Patreon, thank you so much to these folks for letting me do this for one of my jobs. It's the best. I clearly needed this thing and then just got really inspired to share it with y'all. And it was a lot more fun getting to chat with you while I made it, because I do feel like I have company when I'm working on stuff in here and I get to share it with you all. So thanks for being here. It means a lot. If you want to hang out in between videos going up, we do have a Discord for the bog trolls. It is free to whoever. You don't have to be part of the Patreon to sign up. And yeah, as you can probably tell, I am feeling more like myself these days. The past week or two has been a lot better than it had been earlier this year. So it's just nice to feel like I have myself back a bit and I'm not constantly like fighting through the fog. It is also nice to know I made it out of the fog again, and it's never a permanent state of being. This too shall pass. That does help. Hopefully this has been a little helpful either with the project or if you're also going through some of the same shit I've been dealing with. We're gonna get through all this. It genuinely feels like that these days, and yeah, it's nice to have hope again. On that note, I'm gonna go. I will see you all back here with another video next Friday. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'm sure this makes it harder to follow what the fuck I'm doing, but look, I'm having fun.